people, financial. If you hear that word, I know what's happening. You pull your faces in some kind of, oh, I hate it. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Because financial is, in the first place, reading well. The second place, knowing which formula to use where. Now, when I get to the formulas, I will explain really so that I think you will understand after this. But let's have a look. And I went to all those papers. I used the 4 papers. And you know what? In all 4 of those papers, I could only find 2 grade 11 sums. All the other sums were actually grade 12 sums. So I'm going to do the 2 grade 11 sums, and then I'll tell you what else you must go and prepare for the June exam. But after now, September and the final exam, you will be able to do all of these sums, also the matric sums that I'm going to explain now, but you won't be able to use it for the June exam. Okay, now let's have a look at this first one. Exactly 5 years ago, I'm going to underline the 5 because that's my N. Mpume bought a new car. The current, that is my one value and that is my other value. We'll decide now which one is which. If the car depreciates by a fixed annual rate according to the reducing balance method, reducing balance, compound interest formula, but I'll tell you now, calculate the rate. So here you must determine the rate is the one that you've got to find. Now in financial, I'm very, very serious about writing down everything you have. She bought the car for 145. After 5 years, the value was 72. So what am I going to do with that formula of compound interest? I'm going to put a negative in my formula. Reducing balance is the exact formula for compound interest, but it must have a negative. Depreciation, a negative. Have you got that? Important. That's the first formula that you must remember. Eh? Okay, people, now, she bought the car for 145. So what is A going to be? 145. I want to write it here. A is going to be 145,000. Then, after 5 years, the value was 7250. Now, people, am I right if I say this is A? I wanted the reaction from you. No. This is the value of the car after 5 years. So this one is A. And that one is my P. Can you see that? Don't get confused. I did this on purpose so that you can see that the smaller one, when it's depreciation or value going down, is actually your A. Because that is where she ended. But she actually invested 145,000 when she bought the car. But after 5 years, she ended with quite a lot of less money. People can see how cars depreciate. Be careful when you buy a car next year, because I think you are all looking forward to a car next year. Be careful. Rather buy a good second-hand car that doesn't depreciate such a lot. But this might be a new car, and after 5 years, that is the value of this car. Don't start too big. I had a class many years ago, and I said to the learners, work out a budget for me. If you earn 6,000 Rand a month, you know what was the first thing they put onto that budget? A new car. And the payment they had to do every month for that new car was 1,800 Rand. They had 4,200 Rand left to pay for their home, to pay for food. They had nothing left afterwards. So I told them, please, people, when you budget, you start with the necessary things in your life, the things that you can't go without. A house, food, even the furniture. You can have a little bit of furniture when you start with a first work Please, people, so next year will be a challenge for you if you go and work. If you go and study, your poor people or all those bursary will have to help you because you won't have an income. Be very careful when spending money. It's not worthwhile to make a lot of debt. Right, let's go on. Okay, that is the formula that we're going to use. And instead of A, we're going to put 72,500. Instead of P, I'm going to put 145,000. And the I is the one that we've got to find. Ne? Actually, the I, from the I, we will be able to go to the R. So in this case, we must look for I. The moment we have I, we will multiply I by 100, and we will have R. Right, people? Let's go on. Now we're going to take that 145,000 and divide it into the 72,000. And that is going to leave me with this little bracket here. The answer to that is 0.5. So in other words, the car depreciated by 50% over the 5 years. But they want to know the rate per annum, not for the 5 years. Okay, now we've got 1 plus minus I, and we've got a half for that one. Right, how am I going to get rid of that 5? The only way to do it is to multiply this whole bracket by 1 over 5. So you do the same on that side. Now people, if I write this in third form, it's going to be 0.5 to the power 1 with a little 5 there. And that's one, the 5 will be gone. So now I can take the 1 to this side, determine that, and I will have the value of y. Let's have a look. The 5th root of that, I hope you can all use your calculators. Make sure you can. You use your calculator for this. Go and make sure that you can use it. Calculator. Oh, my left hand is so stupid when it comes to these things. Okay, now you've got that. Now you've got to find the 5th root of that, and you're going to get that. Then I want the I on the one side. So I take the I, it becomes a positive there. I bring this one to this side, it becomes a negative. So I is going to be 0.129. But remember, people, to find I, we always take the rate and we divide it by 100. That will give me I. I is always rate divided by 100. So if I have I, I'm going to divide, to find R, I'm going to multiply I by 100. Can you see cross multiplication there? This is one of the sums that came from those old papers that I used. So your R is going to be that one times 100, 12.94. It sounds quite right, people. It's a few years ago. This paper was written in 2014, I think. So that interest rate there is still quite low. But nowadays, if you buy a car, it can go up to 16%. And that's what makes a car very, very difficult. Right, let's go on. The 7.2. For each of the 3 years, I just want to close this answer first. From 2010 to 2012, the population of town X decreased by 8% per year, and the population of town, oh, I don't have the sum there for you. Oh, sorry, my darlings. Let's go right up there. Let's start reading it again. For each of the 3 years from 2010 to 2012, the population of town X decreased by 8% per year, and the population of town Y increased by 12% per year. Then it goes on. At the end of 2012, the population of these two towns were equal. Determine the ratio of the population of town X, call that PX, to the population of town Y, call that PY, at the beginning of 2010. Now let's have a look. How long? What is the period that we can use here? Because they started at the beginning of 2010 and they ended at the end of 2012. So we are going to use 3 years, 2010, 2011, 2012. So our N is 3 years, right? That one decreased, this one increased. And now they want the ratio between the two. Okay, now let's have a look. The ratio for the first one, Px, and then we use compound interest. 1 minus 0,08, we don't know what that is. But when we have that, we will be able to find the ratio. Then Py, 1 plus because it's increased over the 3 years. And then, you see, this is a difficult sum. Because if you don't know how to start, you can't do the sum. Pay good attention to this one also, people. This was a question in March 2015. All right, now we're going to work that out. We're going to get, that one is going to be 1,112, the positive one on that side. I'm going to divide by that one on this side. Then I'm going to take the Py to this side. Have you got it? I skipped a step again. You take the Py, you divide it into Px. You take that one, you divide it into that one. And that is where you get this from, okay? You've got it. Then we take our calculators and we work that out. It's 1,804. And that is going to give us the ratio. You don't even need the p's there, people. The ratio is going to be Px to Py. Which one is the smaller one? Px. Which one is the bigger one? Py. So Px is going to be 1,804 and Py is going to be 1. Difficult, yes. It is quite difficult to do this. But I'm sure if you look at it carefully, if you try it yourselves, you'll be able to do it. Let's go on. Let's move up, otherwise I'm going to do something wrong again. Okay, people. At the bottom of this page, I wrote the following. Grade 11 work, check it. Now, that is for the June exam. They are only going to give you questions on grade 11 work in the June exam. But September and November, you will get questions on all the work. So please, these were the only 2 questions I got from 4 papers on grade 11 work. But for this exam, you're going to get more grade 11 work. I want you to please make sure that you can do effective and nominal, that you can do timelines, and that you can do compound interest and simple interest and hire purchase. Compound interest, look at the time periods, it's very important. If it's monthly, you times your N by 12. If it's quarterly, you times your N by 4. Half yearly, you times your N by 2. But if you times the N, you divide the I by the same number. I did this for 1 year. Okay, so please, you'll have to practice sums like these for this coming exam. But I'm now going to do the trick questions, which you will be able to use in September and November. It's still financial, your lovely topic that you all love so much. Okay, I said here, always write down what is given. F, P, X, I, N. Those are the 5 variables that can be used in a lot of your grade 12 work. So let's have a look at the first sum here. This is not very easy, but if you read well and you use the correct formula, it's not so difficult. The thing is, you must understand what you read, okay? Let's have a look at the first one. Melanie wins 100,000 Rand. She invests the money in a bank for 20 years and receives monthly payments from the bank. Starting 3 months, she wins this. She put it in a bank. She saved it. What a wise girl. And then she started getting money back from the bank, interest, starting 3 months after she invested the money. The interest rate is 18% per annum, compounded monthly. Calculate the monthly payments. Now, let's see what you have here. I'm going to write it down again. Have you got X, the payments? X is the payments. No. That is the one that you've got to find. Have you got the p-value? Yes, it's the money that she invested. Have you got the N? 20 years. But now for the N. She started 3 months after she invested. After 3 months, she only got her first interest from the bank. So, 20 times 12 but because she only started 3 months after, now, if I say 3 months after she invested the money, it means she started getting money at the end of March because she invested at the beginning of the year, January, February, at the end of the 3rd month, because then 3 months is over. So, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December is 10 months. So it's only 2 months of interest rate that she's losing. Okay, so what is going to be our N? It's not going to be 240. It's going to be 240 minus 2. 238 in this case. Have you got that? Okay. Have you got, now you must decide which formula you are, oh no, I, we still must give I also. I is, now the interest rate is 18%. Wow! You never get this nowadays, people. That's wonderful and a good amount of money. 18%. So if I want I take the 18 and I divide it by 100, and that gives me 0.1. There I've written everything I have. And now we can start with the sum. Okay. What formula are you going to use here? And this is quite a difficult one. Remember now, she wins the money, she puts it in the bank, and they pay her interest. I want to give you another example. I borrow money from the bank. They give me the amount, and I must pay them back every month. But Melanie invested money, and they had to pay her back. But it's the same formula that you're going to use for a loan. So it's the P formula. Now the P formula, let's go back to the formula there, looks like that. That is the formula for a loan or an investment of which you get interest. Have you got that, people? If you know that, you won't get confused with these two formulas. Now, we're going to use that formula doing this sum. They actually did a nice thing here. They wrote a they drew a timeline here. And then they said the gap before she got interest, because there she started getting interest, is 1, 2, it's actually only 1, 2 months, because she got interest at the end of the 3rd month. And that means it's only 2 months that she lost. And that's why we make our N 238 instead of 20 times 12, which is 240. And that is the interest rate, people. Then there's another thing that we did not do yet. Calculate the monthly payment. You see, people, this is a lot of reading. And I think that's why it's difficult for you, because it's not your home language. But by now, you should be bright enough to read well. Always read your question very carefully, underline everything that is important. Okay, right. There's your 20 years. Good. Now they said monthly. So what's going to become of this interest rate? It's going to be 0,81 divided by, 1/8, sorry. 0,18 divided by 12 because it is monthly. Have you got it? What did we do with our time? We multiplied it by 12. But then you must divide your I. It's always two things that you do. You multiply the N, you divide the I. Because that is per annum, but I'm going to determine this per month. Okay? And that will be the interest rate per month. And that interest rate per month is going to be 0,015 if I divide those two. So now I've got everything ready, and I decided to use the P formula. I always say the P formula for present value and the F formula for future. If your future formula you only use when you invest a certain amount every month. Then you use the F formula to find out what will I have in 5 years' time. Or they say to you, you invest 4,000 Rand a month, you will have 200,000 Rand in 5 years' time. Then you must find the money that you invested. So they give you the amount that you will receive, and they will ask you to say, what did she invest per month? So then the 4,000 won't be there, there will be an X. You understand? But we will do one like that quickly now. Now. Okay, let's have a look. There's your P formula. Just look at the formula. It's 1 minus 1 plus I to the power negative 238 because it's the loan formula that we use. She's actually lending her money to the bank and they are paying her interest. You understand? A loan. And that is the P formula. And then underneath the line, it's only I. Make sure you know this formula, but I'm sure it will be on your formula sheet. Just choose the correct one, my friends. Then, to simplify here, I'm going to multiply that one by that one. There it is. And then on this side, I will only have the bracket left. Step by step, people. Then I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this one times this one. And I'm going to divide that one in here. So that I can get X on the one side. Can you see that? Yep. Okay. And then X, if I use my calculator there, will be 1591,35. That is what she's going to get every month for 20 years if she invests 100,000 Rand. Wonderful. That's all, people. There is another method using compound interest, but please, stay away from that method. This is much easier. Try to remember when to use which formula. That's the only difficult thing here. Next one. If you look at these papers, you will see what I did on almost each paper. I wrote the formula for F and P every single time so that you know which formula to choose. Now let's read this question first. They say, it is the 31st of December 2010. Anna decides to start saving and wants to save 300,000 by paying monthly amounts of 4,000. Okay, let's see. She wants to save. So if you hear the word save, you are going to use the F formula, future value. What is she going to have after a few years? But now they give you the money that she's going to have after a few years. So you've got F is 300,000. That is the accumulated amount after the years that she's been saving her money. Then the X is the monthly amounts. The X is the monthly payments. And that is going to be X is 4,000 Rand. Right? Starting in 1 month's time, on the 31st of January, is she going to lose any time? No. Because end of January, end of February, up to end of December gives you 12 months. So there's no losing of time here. Okay? On the into a savings amount, the interest rate, so I is going to be 15 divided by 100, and that is going to be 0.15. Okay? We've got that. How many payments will be made? So what do they want? They want N. They want N. And N is going to be months, because I have divided that. I haven't divided that, but she's going, let me just decide just a minute. Every month, so it's monthly. So she is going, I is going to be 0.15 divided by 12, and the N is going to be times by 12 also. But now we don't have N. So when we get N in the end of the sum, we will have months. So to take it back to years, we'll have to divide by 12. People, if you only understand how to start these sums, write down everything you have, okay? And now let's go to the question. They said she wants to save 300,000. So she must get to 100,000 rand, and that's why I said F is that. That's the future value of this loan. Now look at the timeline they drew here for us. Very nice. They said you're losing nothing because you are starting at the end of January, February, March until the end of the time. Okay, and then that's why our I is that. And our N is going to be multiplied by 12. There they explain. From there to there, it's the first month of the year. So that's why it will stay as it is. You won't subtract any month from your N, okay? Now we're going to use the annuity formula, the F formula. Why? Because she's saving money. But in this formula, they want N. So we're going to use the F formula. If you've got the formula next to you, you just fill in all those values that you wrote there. Your F is 300,000. Your X is 4,000. Your I is 1 plus that one. It's 1 plus I, and that is I. Right? And the formula says -1 there, and underneath the line you also have I. Okay. People, from there, it's calculator work. And there's no excuse for not being able to do calculate work. It's this starting off of the sum that gives us a lot of problems. Right. Now you multiply by 0.25 on that side because we want N. So we want that bracket on the left-hand side, only that bracket, or on the right-hand side. I divide by that. I multiply by that, and then I divide by 4,000. So you get rid of this by multiplying there, and then to get rid of this, you divide by 4,000 on both sides, okay? And that will give you this bracket. Oh, now I can take the 1 over again because I don't want it there. I want only a base and an exponent. People, you must never forget that. Only a base and an exponent. I only want that on my one side of my equation. So that is the 1 going over there. So my 1,0125 to the power n will give me 1,9375 coming from there. Okay, and now if I get there, is it possible by any chance to solve this equation by using exponents? No, no, no. So what are we going to use? Aha! Logs, people, logs, people, logs. I just want to add something here because here they skipped a step which I think is very important. You should write the log of 1,0125 to the power n is the log of 1,9375. That is what you should write from that there. Can you see that? Right? And then, what I do now, I want n. So I'm going to put the n in front. And then I'm going to divide that one into this one. And there I will have log 1,0125. Have you got that one? It's the third log one that we're doing, so I hope by now you understand this. Okay. So from there, you've got that. They wrote it like that. I prefer that method. And from there, you will find n, and n is going to be. That is actually the log of that to that base. But this is easier because you've done this in your sequences and series also. Okay? Right, people, and then n is 53,2489 years. It's actually months now. Now, this is not done yet because she wants 3,000 rand. And that is giving me 53,24189 months. So she cannot only leave the money there for 53 months. She'll have to leave the money for a few months more. Can you see that? What we did here, they actually said, take 53 and take your compound formula and see whether you get to 300,000 rand. You don't, because it's more than 53 months. Then you take 54. Well, you don't have to take 54. 54, there it is, will give you more than 300. So, you must save your money for 53 months plus a few months added there. You see, to get to 300,000. Because between these two, there's a gap, and that will bring you to 301. But we don't want 301, we want 300. So you don't actually have to write all of these. People, if you stop there, you will be able to say, she will have to save her money for 53 months plus a few weeks. Can you see that? And you don't have to write all of this that they wrote here. I am going to write it there. Save for 53 months plus a few weeks. Whew. I think I must put my paper on the other side next time to be able to write better there. It looks terrible. So you don't have to do this. You can only say that and then you've done your job. Okay. Very nice. This is not difficult. It's quite straightforward if you knew that you had to use. But remember now, if you save, future value. If you do a loan, you do present value. But you can also use present value when you invest a lot of money in the bank and they pay you every month the interest that you earn on that money. That's also the present value formula. Okay, saving, future value. Right, people? Another one quickly. And let's have a look at this one. Kevin takes out a bank loan to pay for his new car. Aha! Can you see the loan? In that previous sum, the lady invested her money. But for that, and then she received the interest. But in this case, it's a loan, but you use the same formula for both of them. For his new car, he repays the loan by means of monthly payments of 3,000 rand for a period of 6 years, starting 1 month after the granting of the loan. Again, people, the time stays as it is. You don't subtract the month because he starts paying at the end of the first month. The interest rate is 18%. And then compounded monthly. There it is. Okay. Calculate the purchase price of his new car. The payments is 3,000. Now, good. People, now you're right. X. The payments is always X, is 3,000. Then you say N, 6 years. But it's monthly, so it's 6 times 12. Then you say I. It is 18%, so again, people, it's 18 over 100, and that gives you 0.18, and then that divided by 12. And then your I is going to be, it's the same as the previous one. Let's have a look what the I is going to be. One is 18%, no, that was 15%. Sorry, you'll have to calculate that. Okay, it's the I divided by 12. Right. 6 years, we've got that. Monthly, we've got that. We've got the payments. And now they want to know, calculate the purchase price. In other words, what did he borrow from the bank? And that is the P formula. There they showed the gap again. He started paying at the end of the first month, so it's still 12 per annum. Annuity formula, it's again my P formula, and now all I need to do is fill in all those things. That's X, that's my I, and that is divided by 12 because it's monthly. That is my period, 6 years, so N is 12 times 6, I did it. It's 72. In this formula, it's a negative 72. And then your I is 0.18 divided by 12. And that is, if you do this on your calculator, this is what you are going to get. Can you see how easy it is? You substitute, you take your calculator, you work it out, and there's your answer. Done. It's done. What is this? It is P. In the sum, he determined the price of the car because he borrowed that money from the bank. And that is the loan that he took. And because of that loan, he's got to pay 3,000 rand for 72 months. People, do you realize how much he's paying for that car? 72 times 3,000. What did he pay? After the 6 years. And then after 6 years, the car is old. You realize that? So buying a car on hire purchase is quite an expensive thing. Same with furniture. The car only cost 131. But after paying payments of 72, numbers of 72 payments of 3,000 rand, this is what he's going to pay for his car. Almost double the price. And then you must remember, by that time, this car will have depreciated to at least half of its value. Very, very bad to take a loan over 5 or 6 years for a car or furniture or whatever. You pay more or less double what it is actually worth. Right. I wrote there again for the grade 11s, if you see this page. No, the grade 12s, because for the June exam, that is something that you must know. And this is also for June, grade 12s, that you must go through whenever you are preparing for paper 1. Okay, people, let's go to that question 2. Let's see what they want there. There are 72 monthly payments, of which 20 have been leaving 52 payments still needing to be paid. It's still the same sum. Now they say, there were 72 payments. And then, he only paid 20. And then maybe after 20 months, he receives some money from somebody or he inherits some money. Then he goes to the bank and he says to them, I want to pay my car down now. I want to finish pay my car. I don't want to pay for another 52 payments. You understand that? Okay, so now the bank must say to him, right, let us calculate what you still owe. People, if you do something like this, if you can pay the car after 20 months, the whole thing that you owe, then you are going to save quite a lot of money. Now let's have a look. If you want to determine what you still owe, you're going to use the P formula and you're going to work with the payments left. 52. It's the PERF and it's the P formula. And you work with the payments left. Okay. There it is. P formula. 1 minus 1 plus I over I. Now this is I after you've divided 0,18 by 12. That gives you 0,015. Have you got that? Okay, people, put in everything you have. The X is the payment that he pays every month. 1 plus I, there it is. I, 1 minus. Take your calculator, take your time with this, and get the right or the correct answer. You must just show this. Because if this is shown correctly, and the sum is 3 marks, you will get 2 out of 3. You will only lose 1 mark for the amount that you maybe calculated wrongly. Okay? So this is what he'll have to pay after 20 months. And then he's done with his debts at the bank. It's going to, in the end, be much less than 216 Rand that he has paid. So buying cash is actually the better way to do it. But now, I know people, not many people can buy a car cash. So we have to think before we buy a car. And that's why I say, start off after you started working with a second-hand car. You don't have to have a new car. Okay. Right, people, let's go on. I'm not going to do that method because I want to remember that, want you to remember that one. Because it's P for both of these. And you work with the time left. Okay? Thank you. Another one, people. Almost through the financial. Right, let's have a look at this one. Brenda takes out a 20-year loan of 400,000 Rand. Loan. So what is this? P. She repays the loan by means of equal monthly payments, starting 1 month after the granting of the loan. Okay, 1 month after, it means you don't subtract any of the end payments from the end payments. Okay? Calculate the monthly repayments. Oh, so what must you determine? You must calculate X. Better pen here. Okay, you must calculate X. And we're going to use, for a loan, P formula. Let's have a look. There's our interest. So I is going to be 0,18 over 100. And it's monthly, isn't it? Yes, it's monthly. So you take that answer, 0,018, and you divide it by 12. Where do I multiply by 12? At the end. How many years? 20 years. So it is 20 times 12 is N, and that is 240. Have you got it? You've got N, you've got P, you've got I. See whether we can use our formula. We must determine X. Look at this. There's your formula. It's again 1 minus 1 plus. And then if you go on, and that is I. And in the P formula, you've got a negative exponent. Then you can multiply this. You could do a cross multiplication here. Multiply that by that. And that is going to give you this one. Multiply that by that. It's going to give you that one. And then, to get X alone, you divide this into this one. Okay. I skipped a step here again. I just want to show you from here. You multiply 400,000 times 0,18 over 12. You times that. And that is going to give you X 1 minus 0,18 divided by 12 to the power of negative 240. That is going to be there. Now to get x, that's what I did. So I did it immediately. You divide that into that. And that's where they got that from. Okay? Calculator work, x is that. So people, Brenda takes out a loan for 400,000 rand for 20 years. And this is the amount that she's going to pay every month on that loan for 20 years. And after that, the loan will be 0. People, if you times that by 20, you're going to get a huge, not 20, 72 because it's per month. You're going to get a huge amount that she's going to pay back for that loan that she took out. Okay, that is when buying a house. If you buy a house, 99% people have to take out a loan for a house. And on a house, if you pay double that value of the house after 20 years. Because if the interest rate is like that, you definitely pay double. But you can get interest rate for a house nowadays, more or less 10%, which will make your payment much less, but still, it's quite a lot of money that you pay for a house. If you pay it over 20 years, the interest grows every year. Okay, people, that was another loan, and I wanted you to find x. That's why I did that one. And that method we are not doing because we don't like that method. You use this method. Okay, then we say, right, that is the payment that she's got to pay for 240 months. Right, the next one. And the last financial sum. Right, people, let's see. People, can you think that person can space something so skew? But I can do it. Oh, I'm good at that. Right, let's have a look. Sinking funds. This is a very, very important question. I'm going to do it. It can be a lot of marks also, people. At least 10 marks. A small business purchases a photocopying machine for 200,000 rand. The photocopy machine depreciates at 20% per annum, reducing balance. The small business wants to buy a new machine in 5 years' time. So they buy this machine, they pay it down in 5 years' time, and then they sell it, and then they buy a new machine. Oh, let's have a look. The new machine will cost much more in the future, and its cost will escalate at 16%. So the new machine will cost 16% more than that machine cost 5 years ago. The machine will be sold at scrap value. Now what will the scrap value be? The scrap value be the 200,000 decreased by 20% per annum on a reducing balance. That is the formula that you're going to use for this scrap value. They're going to be, the old machine will be sold at scrap value after 5 years. A sinking fund is set up immediately in order to save up for the new machine. So today I buy this machine and I pay 200,000 rand. But I realize that this type of machines only lasts for about 5 years. So I am making sums to determine what must I save every month so that I have enough money to buy a new machine in 5 years' time and sell the old one. I sell the old one at scrap value, so it's going to be worth not much. But I can use that money plus the money that I saved, and that money will be the value of the new machine. So this chap is thinking forward. He is not buying a machine, using it up, and by the time it's up and finished and it doesn't work any longer, he's got to buy a new machine and he's got no money to buy a new machine. So he's thinking forward. The sinking fund is something that you save so that you can buy something new in a few years' time. So what are we going to do to find the scrap value of the old machine. We're going to start only with the scrap value of the old machine. People, if you get a sum like this, you can say thank you, thank you, thank you. Because this is a very nice sum if you understand it. Now let's have a look. They say find the scrap value. Now A, the scrap value is your compound interest formula. It depreciated, so you use a negative there. The interest rate was 20%, so it's 0.2 for I. And it's only a compound interest formula to the power 5. It's per annum, so that is 5 there, okay? So now you work it out, and that is what the value of the machine will be after 5 years. People, that is how computers prices drop over the years. After 5 years, everything is old in that computer. You need a new one, okay? So that is the scrap value of the old machine. That's after 5 years. So I will have this money to deposit on the new machine. Do you understand that? So I will only need the price of the new machine minus this. I'll have to have that money ready after 5 years. Now find the cost of the new machine. Now the cost of the new machine, it increases at 16%. So compound interest, people, it's per annum. It's not a loan. It's not investing payments every month. It's plain common compound interest. So the new machine, that was the price of the old machine, but it's going to be more expensive. 16%. It will grow every year. And that is to the power 5 because it's 5 years. And that is the amount that you will need for a new machine. People look at these things. It's so good that you do financial because can you see 5 years ago the same machine cost 200,000. 5 years later that same machine costs 420,000. So he will need that money to buy a new machine after 5 years. But he will have the scrap value of the other machine. So what amount will he need to pay for a new machine? It's that one minus that one. Sinking fund is the price of the new machine minus the scrap value. So he will have to save money to have 354 ready after 5 years. With that 65, he will be able to buy the new machine. So the sinking fund must be taken out for that amount of money. So now you must determine what amount must I save every month? Every month now to get to that amount. Have you got that? People, you must go over this again and again until you understand it. It's not so very difficult. So, number 4, find the equal monthly payments made into the sinking fund. Now, people, he is going to invest money so that he have money at the end of the 5 years. He's going to invest a payment every month so that they have the 354,000. So this is going to be, he wants to know what must he invest to have that at the end of the 5 years. So this is going to be the future value formula. Can you see the difference? It's 1 plus I to the power 61. Why 61? Let's go back. The first payment will be made immediately, and the last payment will be made at the end of the 5 years. Now, people, if you pay on the 1st of December, the 1st of January, the 1st of February, you're going to be, by the 1st of December, it will be 12 already. So you add 1 for the whole month of December, then you start again in the 1st of January. So that month must be added there. That is very important. The N is very important. And as you've seen, we've done quite a lot of different N's. But if he starts paying at the beginning of the month, not at the end, you add 1 month to your 60. 160. 5 years times 12 because it's monthly now. Those other questions were all per annum. Have you got it? Now it's monthly. That's why we use the future formula also, because we want to know what What amount must he save every single month so that he can have 354 at the end of 61 months? Now let's have a look. This is what he wants. That is the amount that he wants to save every month, and we must work it out for him now so that he can save the correct amount so that he can buy a new machine at the end of the 5 years. Now there's the formula. 1 plus I, that is your I, divided by 12. This is your 5 years times 12 plus 1. And that is what you're going to get. You multiply those two. Then you'll have that one left, which you divide in there to get X. Take out your calculator, work it out, and that is the amount that he will have to save every single month for 61 months. And then when the other machine is old, he will be able to sell it, and then he adds it to this amount, and it will give him the amount that he has to pay for the new machine. Oh, people, I hope you understand this one. I love it. I hope you love it also. That was the last sum for financial. Thank you.